You're listening to Filmmakers Drinking Bourbon. Hey, what's up, Internet? This is Brandon.
And this is Alex.
And Kristen.
And we're filmmakers.
Yeah, we're also drinking bourbon.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
And gal.
And gal.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Let's see what we got here.
Take a sip. Tastes like bourbon.
Man, never gets old.
I know. We've been out of bourbon.
Drinking bourbon in the middle of the day drinking never gets old.
We've been out of this for a few weeks now. It's been beers and no spirits.
Yeah, so today we got a hodgepodge. So we are in the midst of connecting with our lovely bourbon partners out there, small batch distilleries across the globe to feature their stuff on the show. In the meantime, we're digging into the liquor cabinet.
We had some stuff that was stuck back there for a while.
Yeah.
Some plastic bottle stuff.
We got some nice stuff, too. So we gave Kristen here, our guest today, the nice Four Roses single barrel. So it's pretty good.
Top of the line.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Tastes like bourbon.
Tastes like bourbon.
There you go.
And me and Alex are drinking from plastic.
What do you got?
Very old Barton, which I like. I think it's great.
Really? Is there a very new Barton?
No.
Oh.
You want old Barton.
Really? Okay. Yeah, old's good in bourbon.
Absolutely.
I got Kentucky Tavern.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah. Glenmore Distillery.
That's what America was built upon.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
it's not bad.
I'm excited. Today's a great day. We've been talking about this girl.
I know. We've been teasing her
She's
for
here.
a while. So I guess we should just get into it.
She's here right now.
Who are you?
What are you doing?
I'm still trying to figure that out, but I appreciate the bourbon.
Yeah.
I run the Greater Cincinnati Film Office, so I work with all of you and a lot of people from outside of Cincinnati to bring production and cultivate a world-class destination for film production.
Well, and I think you're on your way.
I think
your way.
I think so, but I also think this is just the beginning.
Yeah,
you know, I feel like people are like, "Wow, so many movies are discovering us." And I first want to point out that's not coincidence, and then secondly, that this is just the beginning. We don't want movies one off. We want to create an entire industry in Cincinnati. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump in. Let's do one of those things like you do in film where you tell the ending and then we go back.
Well, Tarantino.
Let's do that.
Let's Tarantino.
Let's do that.
Go ahead.
So you were in the film commission was integral in bringing Carol to Cincinnati.
The big one recently.
It's been nominated. Yeah. It's kind of a big deal.
Nominated.
Right?
It's a huge deal.
So how does a film commission make that happen? Now let's rewind and do this.
Well, but let's go back to why it's a big deal, because that's a great point. It's a big deal because that entire film was shot in Cincinnati, Ohio, from beginning to end. Whereas in the past, you look at other nominated films from Cincinnati, like Rain Man or Traffic, where you just had pieces of the film done. Mm-hmm. Not only that, and I don't think many people know this, but every role in that film was cast out of Cincinnati except for 5 people.
Wow.
And those are the 5 names that you recognize at the Oscar nominations.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's incredible, and I think that really showcases the kind of talent we have here and our capabilities and the fact that we can work with these world-renowned directors and designers and things like that. And that's why it's a big deal. But not only that, Carol was a beautiful film, a period film that showcased so much of our architecture and our Art Deco and our versatility of locations in downtown Cincinnati, and also the fact that you can shoot a period film in 2016 in Cincinnati, where you can't do a period New York film in New York anymore.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that we're so excited by this is because I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the 80s and 90s, Cincinnati did a lot of New York films. We did Lost in Yonkers, 8 Men Out, Rage in Harlem. We were doing 1920s Bronx. We were really good at capturing this period, this type of period architecture from New York in the 90s. And the movies went away. And now that movies are coming back, because we actually have some tools in place to bring them back, that's what we started capitalizing on first, because that's what we knew we knew how to do.
So let's follow the storyline here. So when you say they went away, now people who know sort of the story of Cincinnati, we've had some struggles over the years, and when it comes to relations with community and whatnot. But
that had nothing to do with it.
So that had nothing to do with
right.
it. So
in
this
fact,
was total.
Most people in our industry aren't even aware of that. But what happened was movies started chasing money. it became less about the artistic direction and the look, but it became more about the budget. So it became a producer's film, less a director's film. And when Cincinnati, Ohio started losing motion pictures, so did the rest of the U.S. states and any on-location film production. They were going to Canada, Czech Republic, New Zealand, places where you could get, 50% more of your production value on the dollar.
So are you talking tax incentives, or are you just talking?
Yeah, I'm talking. Initially, it was incentives mandated by different countries around the world, and so if production was leaving Los Angeles at all, it was pretty much leaving the U.S. as well. And what happened was the U.S. noticed that this, quote, runaway production was happening, and we all decided to form a coalition for Film U.S. And that's right when I started working in this industry. Nice. And it was, how can we chase this business back? How can we bring it back to the place it started? And, and the way to that, those tools were money. And it's not just throwing money at movies, but it's trying to find a way to provide them the most incentivize dollars, yes, but also infrastructure. The less people you have to bring in, the more user-friendly you are as a city, the less logistics and red tape. Just anything we can do to kind of make that experience easier and efficient, and then you can spend more money up on the screen and less on the things that don't matter as much.
Yeah. So what is that? That's kind of like a chicken or the egg thing. Like, what came first? Did we have the crew and the incentive, and that's what brought the movie, or because of the movies, then we developed the crew, the base, all that stuff?
We had some crew because we had movies here in the 80s and 90s. Well, what happened when movies went away, that crew base started working in commercial and television production. And because we have so many Fortune 500 companies in greater Cincinnati, those people continued to work, but it was a different medium. So there wasn't working in film. Now, it's great that we have incentives, but people won't come with just a strong incentive. You also need some support for that incentive. So if there aren't people to hire here, it's not as attractive as it is in other states. If you look at Detroit, Michigan, Michigan threw up a few years ago a 46% tax break for movies, and all the movies came, and they brought everyone on their crew because there was no one to hire in Detroit.
Yeah.
And
I know a few guys up there. Yeah.
Ultimately, what happened was the state budget couldn't keep up with the supply and demand, so they weren't paying movies back in time. And I believe it was Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood. That wasn't
great film.
That was the film that first didn't get their money back, and all of a sudden Michigan had a black eye. And then you suffer administration changes within state legislators, and it doesn't become a priority to some if it doesn't seem like it's working. Fortunately for Ohio, this program started under the leadership of Ted Strickland, and then has since been not only adopted by Governor Kasich, but also expanded. It's a completely bipartisan issue in the state of Ohio. We're doing it thoughtfully, we're doing it slowly, and we're keeping up with the supply and demand, and that's what's giving us the capability to grow infrastructure. And infrastructure also, not the commercial work that's coming back to the film, but these young college graduates and e-media students and film students, they're not just graduating around here, they're staying and working here. So we're retaining young talent, which is huge for Cincinnati. Yeah. It's something that we often missed on, upon graduation, you couldn't wait to get out of here. Now people can't wait to move downtown.
Yeah. It's a cool town.
So
right? It's the place to be.
It is. But in talks of tax incentives, where do we kind of sit in the whole
I think we're top 7 in the world right now for competitiveness. We only give away $20 million a year as a state. That's not a lot of money. Yeah. But what that's allowing us to do is do more than one film a year. It's allowing us to have sustainable jobs in this industry. But what we'd like to show the state is that for every dollar they're investing now, $2 and a penny is coming back, return on investment. Wow. So it's good business for the state of Ohio, and we'd like to see that program expanded. So we're not just going after motion pictures, but also we're going after entire television series. Yeah. And then the work is here on a regular basis.
That's great. Now, when you're as you guys are working with production companies and people that are pitching ideas and thinking about locations and thinking about could this happen in Cincinnati? I mean, you mentioned, old New York, and you mentioned tax incentives, but what if I'm not doing old New York? So how are you guys positioning? Talk a little bit about how you guys talk about the city.
Sure. We started with that because we wanted filmmakers to know that we were successful in capturing New York. And so we reached back out and looked for New York scripts. But since then, we're surely showing our range. I mean, we just did a movie last year called Goat, which was based on a novel about fraternity hazing with Nick Jonas and Ben Schnetzer. And I just saw
it. It's in Sundance, right?
It was at Sundance last week, and it's incredible. It's a great movie. It was made for $2 million, and the city looks fantastic. And every single person on that crew, except for a couple, were local people, which is awesome.
Yeah, a lot of our friends, a lot of people we know in the industry who work on commercial shoots with us, and they were working on set. So.
That was a great project. But what that's showing is, we weren't New York in that. We weren't actually Cincinnati in that. They created a town called Dawson, and they created a hypothetical college name to protect, the universities as well as the fraternities.
Was there a creek?
There was no creek in this Dawson. No.
There's always a creek.
Well, and I think one thing
I could be wrong about that name. Dawson might have been the Christmas movie. But anyway, my point is we're showing our range now, because now people hear that shooting in Cincinnati is not just easy, but it's quality work that's coming out of there. And people, that word of mouth starts spreading. I have more projects in my office right now than we have money as a state to give them.
Wow.
So,
That's
you guys
awesome.
I should say us, we as a city have had some pretty glowing reviews from people that have shot here, like the Mariah Carey and all these people doing interviews on their films are going back to, it was so nice to work in Cincinnati and the crew.
My favorite testimony was in the middle of the Cannes press conference, and you had the entire filmmaking team of Carol with the international press in front of them, and someone was asking a question, and Todd Haynes literally stopped the interview and said, "I'm sorry, can we just talk about Cincinnati for a second?"
Yeah.
And went on and on and on about how incredible it is here.
That's cool.
And then while we were at Sundance, I don't know if you guys have read, I'm sure you have seen recently that Emilio Estevez is talking about moving to Cincinnati.
For sure.
And one of the things he said is, people in Malibu, people in Los Angeles are always like, why are you talking about Cincinnati? And he said, all I want to do is give them a plane ticket and have them come experience it for themselves. And that's what we're finding as a film commission. If I can get a hold of a script and fly those people in here, chances are they're going to say yes. I'm batting 1,000 on everyone I've flown in. We've been able to secure that movie. So I think people are, our job, I think our most difficult challenge is to get them to think of us in the first place and for us to get in front of them. So spending less time here in Cincinnati, I'm actually trying to get out at these film festivals and in New York and in Los Angeles and make them think of Cincinnati, because I know if they can think of it and I can get them here, they will do it here.
You'll walk it down.
And I think, for our listeners, if you've never been here, I mean, we can, this town and within a, hour, 2-hour radius around here, it can be hilly, it can be flat, it can be country, it can be urban, it can be desolate. It can be all sorts of things. There's a river. There's just a lot that it can kind of become kind of who it wants to become. Yeah.
Right.
Minus like
with a good
beach.
editor, we can do anything.
Yeah.
But if you remember that cult film Airborne.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that, but at the end, that race takes us over, I think, 130 miles of the city, and it's not supposed to be nearly that long. But
that's awesome.
See my point.
Can you talk about? Do you have figures on like how many films we had last year, or the types of films, stuff like that?
I know in the last 2 years, we've seen over $54 million of economic impact from these movies, and we've created over 8,000 jobs just in the last 2 years in film production.
That's awesome.
Which is pretty awesome. As far as how many movies, I think there's been about 12 in the last 2 years, and over the last 4 years, I don't know. It's hard to say because sometimes, I don't want to not count something that might not have as big of a budget as something else, because I think they're all important and they're all training people in this area. So I hate to put a number on that, because it's just, where do you draw the line?
No doubt. We've had a lot, is what we're getting at.
But certainly had a lot. And we're, having a city like Cincinnati we had four films that were shot in Cincinnati at Sundance and 2 that were invested by Cincinnatians. So
it's amazing.
Having 6 films out there is a good time to be out there and spread the word of Cincinnati. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Looks like it's only going up too. So
yeah, definitely. Can you break down in some of the listeners, because I know sometimes I get lost in the math. So we hear things like tax incentives.
Sure.
Break that down for us. What is the real benefit? How does that money play out? How do people win with that? What does that look like? How does the state win? Talk about it?
So we're not just throwing taxpayer monies at filmmakers to get them to come here. What we're doing as a state is an application process which the state will then determine if it's good business for the state of Ohio. There's things that Ohio cares about, whether it's heads in beds or whether it's employing a certain community or a certain union. These are things that are important to the state of Ohio. The state has determined that, not us. Right. So then they take the application and they look at how many people it's putting to work, how many local hires they're going to do, how much the return is, and actually how much is coming back into our state tax coffers. And then that's how they award the tax incentive. Now, what's unique about Ohio is that we are a cash rebate, whereas many states are a tax credit, which makes it more valuable because you don't have to lose value while you're brokering the credit of sale. So we're cash rebate, and what we're saying as a state is we're going to give you 25% cash back on the things that we think are important business for the state of Ohio. It's not to say every dollar you spend here. It's the things the state determines that are priorities for us. And then we're going to give you 35% cash back on every Ohioan you employ. And that encourages you to bring less people, give more Ohioans a chance. Excuse me. And what it's doing is we're cultivating this crew base. We're getting people that start out as an assistant on one job. Like my favorite story is a girl that called me as a Miami University student from Oxford, said, I'm graduating, I want an internship. I said, you called me on the perfect day. I'm looking for help on Carol. She started the next day as an intern. 2 weeks later, she was a production assistant. By the time that movie wrapped, she was on the payroll. When it came time for the next film, which was Miles Ahead, which came on the heels of Carol, she was an assistant in the locations department. By the time the next film came around, she was the assistant location manager, which is a union position.
God. That's awesome.
And finally, last summer, James Franco's team was in town, and she was the location manager. So in less than a year's time, she had moved all the way up through a department.
Because the industry, even though the industry seems big on the outside, am I right that it's still pretty small and tight knit? Like people know people, and they're like, hey, you're going to Cincy, you need to call this person. Is
Absolutely.
that how it
no
works?
No matter where you're from.
I think our whole industry is based on conversations. You know, from making a film and the conversation you have all the way down the line in your departments to, you know, recommending different people and having experiences with different people. And there's certainly a lot of personalities on a film, and you know that also becomes word of mouth. You know, that's a good personality.
You're hard to work with. You're not coming back.
Well, and we feel that same thing. I mean, you know, bringing it down to, you know, commercial production and working on, you know, music videos, and obviously not $2 million feature films, but those same things apply. You know, hey, here's this kid who was a PA. You know, if you ever need help, call him. He gets things done. Yep. And next thing you know, it's somebody who's always on set at every shoot you're at. You know.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Nice.
Speaking to that, what I'd like to hear is there anything in it for the small guy? So a lot of our listeners that listen to the show are real working filmmakers in cities like Milwaukee, and they're in these, you know, sort of working towns, and they work for a video production company, and they're doing, you know, corporate commercial videos, stuff, corporate videos, that sort of thing. When you talk film commissions in general, sort of how this stuff works, is there anything in it for the working filmmaker?
I mean, that's up to the working filmmaker. You know, it's a resource to you, and you have to figure out how to make that resource applicable to you. I always say, you know, we're not a job placement service.
Right.
It's not up to us to get you the position or to sell you, but it's up to us to cultivate a community here that you are a part of, and to provide opportunities that can only enhance or help you pursue your craft. And so I think absolutely, I mean, I say that with the utmost confidence. I mean, I started out as a filmmaker in this community, making shorts, wanting to make documentaries. And no one was going to help me help myself more than I was. But an office like this, once you educate yourself on what different film commissions offer in different cities, then you understand how it can help you. If you don't know what they do and you're just assuming that they only take care of Hollywood or they're not out for the little... For example, I mean, our film commission helps you do all your permits because there's not a city permit office. We help you hire all your police officers, your safety. We help you find certificate of liability insurance. We help you get bondage.
I've actually emailed you about these sorts of things.
Yeah. So these are things that we didn't help you.
No, you helped. No, you guys were great. You had great knowledge and resources.
But these are things that we help with. Also, you could go to our website and you could find a whole network of people that you could call. They're direct contact information on there and say, hey, I'm working on a passion project this weekend. We need someone like you. Is there any way I could talk you into it? I'm gonna bring in great barbecue and pizza. Please come on board. That's what happens.
Take that further and say that I've used the Cincinnati Film site resource as a resource for. I've had projects where all my regular guys were booked out and I needed a certain position. Yeah. You have a whole directory.
Well, I use it to look at. I've used to look at the location base where I'm thinking through projects. I'm like, and I'll go because you guys have listed all the locations.
Yeah. And the other thing is we don't list. That's the other thing. We won't just post those locations up there because there's a lot of privacy and security things that we have to protect. Sure. But if you are an independent filmmaker and you say, hey, Kristen, I'm looking for a 1950s boardroom to shoot this scene, I would then post that on our Facebook page with your contact information and reach all the people that we know in this community that care about film or film friendly or want to be part of this process. And that opens your landscape far wider than what you might see posted there. And we do that pretty regularly.
Now, do you know from practice, do smaller production companies, can they take advantage of the tax incentive stuff for, say, a commercial?
So we're about 5 years into this program, and right now the floor of application is at $300,000. So, certainly that would be a large size commercial production. Right. However, what we've looked at recently is, say, your production company is working with a client and they have agreed to do 3 spots with you throughout the course of the year. And those 3 spots then total. So why don't we apply as a slate of projects? And that way we're showing sustainable work. We're showing the state of Ohio that we're continuing to grow this industry here. And that's something that they're now considering. Now, it's not to say that that floor won't ultimately drop, but when the state of Ohio first put this in place, there were questions that legislators had, like, are we going to attract the porn industry, and how are we going to make sure we can control this, and who's applying, and things as silly as that came up. So this is one way for them to sort of mandate a program that they can police and maintain. But ultimately, the idea would be to lower that floor so that we're able to award people, that are continuing to work here on a regular basis, that they're able to take advantage of this too, and that way their slate becomes broader, their experiences become more, and they're showing their client they can save them this money, etc. So
that's cool. Nice. So do you guys directly, obviously, work with the state to push?
We do, but we're not on the
changes.
We're not on the. We encourage them and we lobby them and we educate them about the industry.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people in the state house are political backgrounds or whatnot, and they don't have a production background that we do. And that's one of the pluses about our film commission in this region is that we're our own 501c3. So we raise our money and spend our money accordingly. We can also help you make decisions, and we can also work with filmmakers closer than, say, a government employee that's only allowed to do this, this, and this. So I think that's awesome. An advantage. But certainly want the state to know. And, it's hard for legislators to know if a project's real or if the names people are dropping are attached or, if it really is that director and things like that. So the more we can help educate them, and I think that's really what our role is, then I think the more quality projects get approved, and also projects get made, which is, a lot of projects get approved, but they don't always get made. And I think we want to see more get made.
That's cool. I find this so fascinating.
Dude,
there's so much behind this, like the way this all comes together. Like
just thought we sat around, drank bourbon, and watched a couple movies.
What I want to know? Is how did you? So you said you started out doing short films and stuff, documentaries.
Yeah, hobbies.
How did you get into this?
Who are you?
Yeah, how did this come about?
Who's the real Kristen? Tell us the story.
So funny. My job before the Film Commission was a radio disc jockey.
What? Yes.
Yeah. So
she has experience in this.
Nice.
I started out.
Can we get a little sample, a little open, maybe a little? Hey, you're listening to Filmmakers Drinking Bourbon.
I was working on the coast of North Carolina, and I can tell you at the top of every hour, I would sit there and go, the Weather Center forecast for the Outer Banks, northeast or north. I'd go on and on.
Oh my God.
So, and I used to do the fishing reports. Keep the peace and please release, etc.
That's fantastic.
Hurricanes, you name it, I was there. But I knew I would do these videos on the side, and I would, it's so embarrassing, but like wedding slideshows and things like that I just thought were so cool and creative.
Did you go to school for video? Or I mean,
I went to school I had a major in public relations and a minor in theater. And I had no idea.
Well, that makes sense. It totally worked out for you.
It did. And there's this guy I went to high school with that's in Los Angeles in the business. And he recently reminded me that when I was in 10th grade, I told him I was going to run a film office for a major city someday. And I said, there's no way. He said, I swear to God, you said that in theater class. I didn't even know these things existed.
That's crazy.
But I did.
It was your destiny.
I don't know.
Oracle. Oh, my God.
I don't know.
Hilarious.
It hasn't been an overnight success either. It's been a lot of, I didn't know how to write a bill when I came into this position.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to bring a community together to see filmmaking as an art form. And I certainly didn't know how political this position was going to be. But now I feel like we've got the right tools in place, and we're suddenly, I love when the media is like, wow, why are these movies just coming right now? And you're like, well, we've been working at this for a while.
Yeah, they're just showing up. Yeah.
But the reason they're going to keep coming back, and then the reason that this is going to grow and it's not a one-off, is because we have taken the time to do it the right way.
Slow
and I'm really proud of
race,
really proud of that.
That's cool. Now, are you a part of a larger group? Do you connect with other film commissions? Like, are you sharing what you're learning here in Cincinnati with other cities? Because our listenership is very, we've got people all over the place.
All over.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I'm curious to
we
know
just had
we connect with the Doha Film Institute?
Yeah, we just had the Nairobi. We did a show all about Kenya, and Nairobi has a very new film office. They would probably benefit from hanging out with you.
I have to tell you, we do belong to an association which is called the AFCI, which is the Association of Film Commissions International. And I do attend those meetings. I don't go as regularly as I want, because what I really want to see our film commission grow into is less of this government agency and travel and tourism department, and really a full service film stop that helps you get your production from beginning to end done in this area. And I sort of want to act as your local producer, and I want you to feel like you have someone there supporting you the entire time you're here. And so I want to stray a little bit from what the Film Commission initial model has been. But I certainly also think that film commissions could learn a little bit from the things we're doing. And also, I love seeing what the international markets are doing. And I love to see, how involved or not involved some are. And, for so long, and you guys being filmmakers yourself, I remember when I first knocked on this Film Commission's door, the word was, they're a bunch of white people that watch movies. That's what they thought of this organization. Whoa. And that was really interesting to me, because then I couldn't figure out what exactly they did. And I had heard that. And then I also heard that they got confused with the Film Society a lot, and not what the Film Commission is.
And the Academy.
Yeah. And then I heard that, locals hated them because they didn't do anything for local people, and they only talked to Hollywood, and these kinds of things that were stereotypes when I initially started. And now, I make it a point. I come by set every single day. I talk to every single person. I meet with any single crew person that wants to hear about what's going on. And our door is an open policy, because eventually I'd like to see this turn into something bricks and mortar, where it becomes a true film center that's available for everyone to use.
You've got a vision.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's something happening here, people.
Yeah.
So if you're listening right now and this is piquing your interest, where can they go to see what you guys are up to? What are the social channels to follow? Again, we've put this out there, and now people are wondering, hey, how do I find out more?
Well, our particular office is filmcincinnati.com, and we certainly have a Twitter site and a Facebook page, and then we do all the social media, and you can follow us. But I would say, if you're not in our market, or our market sounds more exciting, come join us. But if you're not in our market, I would reach out to the local film office. And I also think by getting together and networking with as many people in your community as possible, because everyone brings something to the table in the filmmaking process. And maybe they're not, quote, a filmmaker, but they might have a piece of equipment, or they might have an idea, or they might become something that inspires you creatively. And I think the more you can be around those people, and the more you surround yourself with people that think this is important and this is an art form, or just appreciate cinema, period, I think that's really what helps. Staying isolated and, woe is me, and no one looks out for the little guy, and I'm never going to make it, or maybe I'm going to work on this one project my whole life and hope it's the next Good Will Hunting. I think that's the stuff, you got to just keep exercising the muscle. You got to keep networking, and you got to keep talking about your craft, because people care. And the more you can get out there and in front of it, the more I think comes back to you.
That's cool.
Good advice. I mean, what do they say? Your network is your net worth, right? I mean,
ooh, look at you.
Yeah, you got to get out there.
Are you Zig Ziglar? Giving me some marketing.
So what are you guys working on?
Oh, that's a great question.
Come on
wow,
now.
look at this girl.
Flipped it around.
Wow.
Oh my god.
I'm actually super excited right now.
You're doing a lot.
We're doing a lot of, this is work that not a lot of people love, but it's what makes it's what makes it happen. Is
Pays the bills.
I've been doing a lot of RFPs and proposals. So just really getting the pitches looking really nice. We've got like so many out there that if they were to all land, like it's not like I'm going to have to call the film commission and be like, I need people. Because there's that, so there's a lot of that sort of stuff. But aside from that actual real work, I have brought back our short film that we just shot from. I put it in a little like, hey, I need a break because I was in the edit.
You got me worried.
I was so far in, I was so far in the edit that like I just didn't even care. Like I was like, I don't know what I'm watching anymore because I've seen it so many times.
Yep.
So I stepped away for several weeks, and now I'm back, and it's nice. So it's like opening. It's like an old friend.
So what are you going to do with this? Develop it into a feature or no?
No. We just we approached it as a.
It's not out of the question.
Yeah,
though.
no. It is all ready to go for a feature. But we did we approached it as just a short narrative film. It's going to be probably around 15 minutes long. And
what was the first cut? Like 20?
Yeah, but it'll be film festival friendly for sure.
7 to 10.
Yeah, we'll get there. But so it's actually the guy Brandon Howe who
our screenwriter,
who's our screenwriter, is he placed like in the top 12 at the Austin Screenwriters Film Festival, and he was picked up, and I can't say who, but by a major Hollywood person that if I said his name, everybody would go, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah,
and he has a script with him right now.
He's been talking to people.
I think it's going to be going into production.
Cool.
So it's cool. So it's kind of a fun thing where like. All of a sudden, we have this short film that this guy who, like, it's going to be some big major film.
She hasn't heard about our film though. Why don't you tell her what it's about?
Oh yeah, she's
brand new.
Yeah, it's called Kill Game, and it's about 3 hitmen who sit down to play a game of cards, and all of a sudden, guns are drawn, and they're caught in a stalemate. And so, my partner in crime here, Alex, and me, we're on our way to a commercial shoot.
I was on the way back from Michigan, I think.
Yeah, and we started. Riffing on, doing a live action piece, a narrative piece, and we said, well, let's do a short film. What can hold people's attention? Yeah. And then the stalemate sort of Mexican standoff came up, and we're like, everybody has that in their movie.
Well, first we started with budget. What can we actually do? And we came up with single location. Yeah, right.
So we needed a single action, and so we thought, okay, well, everyone always has a standoff. Let's just make our whole film a standoff. So the whole film, they're trying to figure out like witty ways to like get out of this moment.
Yeah. It's like 18 pages of just standoff.
A lot of conversation.
Nice.
Dialogue.
So it's got to be good written.
Again, speaking of locations, we had a great location in Clifton.
Yeah.
We filmed at the Proud Rooster.
Proud Rooster.
Old diner. It's been there for 50 years.
Yep.
I know it well.
Yeah, it's great.
With Robert the Chicken Man.
Bob the Chicken Man. Yeah, he was great.
He was awesome.
They opened their doors. We took it over for 3 days. And
it was amazing, too, to see, you talk about, this industry being a community. We had, this was no, like junior effort. We had, enough people. There were dudes sitting on the truck.
All the movies you mentioned, our entire
just
crew
waiting to pull a sandbag or whatever. It was it was really nice to see our friends and community who all work in this industry and work on all these films that you help bring to town. They also were we'll come help you guys, and came out and it was 3 days of just it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was
but
cool.
like she was saying earlier, it's all a matter of trust and putting all this quality work and developing a relationship. These people aren't going to come work on films if they know, it might just be a load of crap. We've done cool stuff before, and they know that, and they know you're passionate, so they're like, oh, yeah, I'll come. How about 3 days? Nothing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
so
it's good.
No one called me.
Yeah?
Just saying.
That is not true.
Not
I
for
think
that.
we talked about that.
Did we?
Did we?
I think I talked to you about that.
About location?
I kind of remember Kill Game.
I
Kill
think
Game.
so, because you were probably hanging out with George Clooney or something. Or
Usually,
somebody cool
Usually,
like that.
yeah.
Usually.
If she can't get a hold of her,
cool.
that's what she's doing.
But anyway, what about you?
What have I been working on?
What are you working on?
I've been working on music videos and stuff like that. And actually, I got one. By the time this episode drops,
Right.
a new music video will drop.
Nice.
Yeah, so it'll be cool.
Can you give us any details? Who's it with?
It's with a local indie artist up in Columbus, a group called Vespertine.
Yeah.
So it's like a kind of indie pop synth, really interesting stuff.
Who's the
kinda
director?
The director, his name's Mark Eshelman. He's the guy I do the 21 Pilots videos with.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he...
And what'd you do on it?
I was DP.
DP.
Yeah, it's all I do.
Got it.
For anybody that's new to the show. That's what I do. I'm the DP,
Yeah.
Brandon's the director.
Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is Mark Eshelman, who directs all the 21 Pilots videos, and we shot this thing in 2 days for like no money, and it's
What'd you shoot
all
it on?
storyline. We shot it, so I co-own a Red 1 package, old beast, and that's what we used. Shot it 4K. We used a local rental house up in Columbus, Ohio HD. Yeah.
Speaking of rental house and speaking of this community, we talked about Kill Game. We couldn't have done it without our town's resources. The guys at Midwest and Camera Department hooked us up. We shot on Arri Alexa.
Yep.
We had Fisher Dollies. We had all the toys in the bin, and those guys were amazing. And we told them what we had budget-wise, and they basically just
They worked
blessed
with
us with lots of goodies. And so that was really cool.
Which, by the way, we need to talk to them and get their vector graphics for the...
Yeah.
Like they do that, you go in and you say you're earnest in what you want to accomplish, and you're open with them. And they'll work with you. And it's the same thing, it's not just them, but the Esquire, Marymount, Kenwood Theater, they're giving local people their theatrical release. So when they finish these projects, you can actually
Somebody will
have
see it.
an audience see it in a theater, which is exciting. So those things are all percolating around this town, and it's getting really, really exciting. As things.
Maybe we'll have to work with Film Commission to see where we're going to release the Kill Game.
Cool game. Yeah, we were
See what
talking about
happens.
doing like a party for the city and just inviting everybody out and showing it, and maybe doing a few back-to-back.
It's not a family-friendly film.
I know. I'm already.
Depends on
Can I see it? Is it violent?
It depends on who your family
Well,
is.
it's not.
Well, here's the thing. It's called Kill Game, but as Brandon says, everyone dies and not a single shot is fired. So,
Yeah.
how violent can it be if no bullets?
You know.
Yeah.
It's all good. So, what about you? What are you
Working on?
Look, when we get people on the
Teasers.
show, we have one goal in mind. We want the goods. We want the information.
I know, I
Give
have
us
to
the
drink
hot.
more.
Give us the hot goods. What
Want some
can you tell
Kentucky
us?
Tavern?
You don't have to drop names, but what can you tease out? What's coming to town? What kind of films are going to be shot
Well,
here?
I can tell you this,
Give us the juice.
because the
Big
fiscal
picture.
year for the state of Ohio is through July 1st, and then another 20 million becomes available.
Yeah.
And there are 3 films that have been approved to shoot between now and July 1st.
Whoa.
Now, that's assuming all of them happen. The director could break a leg or get
die.
a divorce, or you never know until they're on the ground.
Sure.
But there are 3 that have been approved, and those people have been in and out of town on a regular basis.
What kind of? Can we get a genre? What kind of genre? We talking? Action?
One is a dark comedy, which is
Okay.
really, really
That's fun.
smart, and I like it a lot.
Okay.
And it's a great studio behind it.
And the
it's,
lead actor is
actress, actually.
the lead actress.
She's awesome.
Slipping
She's
it in
somebody
there.
awesome.
Slipping
Yeah.
it in there.
Okay.
Who you might have seen on SNL, but
Okay.
that's all I'm
may
going
or
with.
may. Okay, that's good. That's hey. We got. I got further than that. I didn't think I was going to get that
You
far.
did.
Okay.
That was
Yep.
nice.
Let's talk about the other
All right.
one. The other one is a true story. Sort of
Documentary?
Not necessarily a biopic, but some
cool.
biographical information.
Like biographical national figure, regional figure,
Yeah.
global figure.
Absolutely.
Maybe not a Gandhi, but maybe more of a political, maybe.
Someone that didn't shy away from guns.
All right.
All right.
All right. That's nice.
All right.
Political. That's political. Yeah.
And the other one is religious.
Whoa.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's that.
Interesting.
Nice.
You got the whole
Like
gamut there.
religious as in funded by churches and because they know it's going to work and a bunch of churches are going to go watch it.
Could be. It's got a lot of money behind it.
That's one of my favorite.
You're prying
That's
there.
one of my favorite genres.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is going to work because we're
Yeah.
going to tell everybody that
We'll throw $5 million at it. And
Yeah.
We'll,
if you don't go see it, God's not going to love you.
They still employ us, though. Come
Yeah,
on.
There you go.
Hey, I'm not.
There you go.
I'm just saying.
Okay, so I got a question. So $20 million on July 1st becomes available. And again, I don't think we dove into really this part. You talked about percentages and
Sure.
certain percentage of each dollar.
You got to
that
have
goes
$300 to apply, but we
Yep.
only will give as much to $5 million per project.
back per project.
Okay.
So a tentpole film like The Avengers can't come in and eat up the entire
That's what I was
Sure.
gonna ask.
amount.
Sweet. Okay.
But that, in some ways, that limits what we can do, right? But that's for a reason.
That's I'm not seeing, other than the Marvel and franchise movies, the budgets are right there.
Yeah.
So most of what we rebate is between $1 to $3 million per project. So we're rarely
Good.
at the 5,
yeah.
unless it's
And then I guess my follow-up question to that is, is there a push to open up that cap a little further?
Oh, yeah. Every day I push that.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Because I know that, there's some that have no cap.
We went from 10, we did 10 for 2 years.
Yep.
Then we went back to them, and we had 96 members of the Ohio General Assembly vote yes to enhance that and double it, which is when we got to 20 in 2014.
Okay.
That's when we did Carol, Miles Ahead, The Blunder. And then the next year we did The Long Home and Goat and all these other. So 20 has been good for us because it's not just an Ides of March and then we don't see anything.
Exactly.
What happened when we did the Ides of March, we were only at a 10 million for the entire state. Cincinnati did that movie. And then the next year, Cleveland did The Avengers. And what happened was they set up 2 LLCs and applied for all 10 million and got it.
Whoa.
Gosh, in hindsight, if it was Cincinnati that had it, I don't know that I would have been as disappointed. But that's not going to happen again, and they've tightened up on how we're mandating this program as a state. So.
Do you find in this process you have come to appreciate Claire Underwood more and your political lobbying skills and how to ask nicely and get what you want?
You just there's no such thing as pride anymore. You chase them down the hall and make eye contact in the bar and keep asking.
Let's work.
But I will say that whole process, I mean, my only experience in that was Schoolhouse Rock initially. I didn't know how a bill became a law here in the state of Ohio. But
oh my God, we should put that clip on on our channel.
That's a classic.
Right?
Classic. Wait, so the whole political thing, you just got back from Sundance, right?
Yeah.
How was that? What did that entail for you as the representative from Film Cincinnati?
So with 3 films opening there, also it was the 30th anniversary of An Innocent Man that shot here, and that was screening out there. And then we had 2 films that a local person was a producer on. We decided to go out there and make sure Cincinnati not just had a presence in the theaters, but also had a presence in the Filmmakers Lounge and as part of the discussion and as part of the Sundance culture this year.
Yeah.
So we went out and rented a house, branded it the Cincinnati House.
Whoa.
We opened it to filmmakers all day long. You could come. We took a world-renowned chef with us, Jean-Robert Decaval.
Nice.
There you go.
And he cooked for anyone that came by the house. And we branded that house Cincinnati. We worked with the guys from Brave Berlin who did the original Luminosity.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys,
guys.
We took this modern house and we took out the artwork that was in the house and we projected all these Cincinnati images and facts all over the house and created like a mapping interior. That was an experience.
Yeah.
We took out all the throw pillows and went in with like iron and elm pillows that said Findlay Market and Hyde Park and these things to start a soft, just start a soft conversation. And all throughout the house, we loaded iPad minis with all of our work. So you could scroll through and see who's been to town, what their feeling was, their testimonials, photos of on location, what the crew sizes were, what the rebates were on each of them.
Yeah.
And then if it was someone really awesome that was there looking at our iPad mini, we'd give it to them. So that then they could tell our story to their people.
That's cool.
We had a couple formal events. We hosted a brunch on Sunday at Sundance, and it was supposed to be from 12 to 4, and at 9 p.m. people were still there.
Whoa.
Over 100 people came through the house,
That's
and
awesome.
a lot of celebrities, a lot of studios, a lot of financiers and filmmakers. And it was such an eclectic bunch of people, but also everyone was just there to relax, and everyone felt at home there. They weren't on Main Street and having to be on. They were amongst their peers.
And I think that, too, is a lot of the allure of Cincinnati. Like, I think people I know and friends that come in from out of town, it's like, it's just kind of a real place. You don't have to put on it. You know what I mean?
It's kind of the epitome of that's what our show's all about, right?
Yeah, we're
just
about
like being chill.
Yeah, we're about hanging out. Yeah, we're just about hanging out. And that's,
hey, let's talk.
Yeah,
let's talk.
I think it's great. I think it's so refreshing to hear this. I think it's awesome that you guys are doing that sort of stuff that people don't know. That's really cool that you're working hard to land the deals.
Right. If we're not out there, then they're not going to think of us initially. So I want that Cincinnati brand to be in the forefront of all their minds, and I want that brand to be cool.
Yeah.
I want that. I want them to say, "Wow." I sometimes get that. Like, you're from Cincinnati, why? And come experience
do people still reference WKRP?
Yeah, but you know what? I love that. I don't care. I was a big fan.
I think it's awesome.
And
it's dope.
Well, the turkey episode is still my favorite. And that guy, what's his Venus flytrap? He comes to the AFCI trade shows all the time.
Yeah.
And so we always get him anchored in the Cincinnati booth for a little bit. But
That's awesome.
Nice.
I don't do trade shows as much anymore because
Yeah.
we're trying to think outside the box.
There you go.
That's cool.
So you went to Sundance. What's next? Like what's the next big stop?
Yeah, what are you excited about, as we say on the
yeah,
show?
we'll tie that in. Yeah.
Well, and I'm not out to say that film festivals are the market that we have to be saturating ourselves in. I think
sure.
it's great when we have content appearing at those festivals. But I also, I'm really excited to do an event in New York City where I can work with a lot of the independent filmmakers, particularly with the help of Killer Films, who I've done 3 films with, and get to know their peers and their friends and give us another venue to talk about Cincinnati and New York City. And also, I think that's a great venue since we've been New York City in so many of these films. I think that's a nice synergy. And I want to go and host an event. And it doesn't have to be fancy, maybe crabs and beers, and just give us a venue to talk about Cincinnati and have some of the people that have shot here there to share their experience. And so I think getting in New York's market a little bit more is what's on the horizon. I also spend a few times a year in Los Angeles, which is kind of paramount. You need to be out there. You need to be dropping in unexpectedly and reminding them of Cincinnati. I did that not too long ago, and the Weinstein Company gave me 2 scripts, and that was advantageous to be in front of them.
That's great.
We have a film coming out at Tribeca, which is also in that New York market. So I'm thinking, what if there's an event around that festival and we kind of do, maybe a small trip out of it and get more bang for the buck.
That's
Do you
awesome.
see some of New York and Hollywood eventually opening up offices here?
I'm telling you,
is that happening, right?
if Estevez,
happening?
Estevez is moving here.
Yeah.
Why? Because he loves our town. He feels like there's a community here that he doesn't get to experience back home. I think, although he's never been living in Ohio, which is a lot of people think he was raised in Dayton, but his father was born in Dayton. His mother was born in Cincinnati, and he was born in New York City and raised in New York and then Southern California. But he's fallen in love with it, and the only reason he's been here was initially to scout a project.
Yeah.
And now he's fallen in love. But I see people like that wanting to come here and be part of this renaissance, and also have a city that you can influence and be a part of the influence, and also, still have it in your lifetime to see the change. And I think that's appealing. But, we've caught the attention of those people just on everything we're doing in film. And I'm noticing people, much like your friends that were up in Detroit, moving to Cincinnati and acquiring residence here and being locals here. And that's happened quite a bit lately. 2 people I know from Brooklyn just moved here, a guy from Detroit, another person from Iowa. I mean, it's growing. So
Well, I think it has a lot to do not just with like the film, but just the city as a whole. It's great, but we can talk about like the brewery scene.
Oh yeah, we got startups. We're
like you said,
we're constantly on a new list of
world-renowned chefs here.
Top 10 places for this or that.
It offers more than just like empty buildings to film a movie in. It's great.
Right, you're a city about branding, and now we're able to brand this industry and everything else that's going on with branding here. So.
Weird mishmash.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it.
This is great. Awesome.
I know. So
how fun.
When you go to someplace like the Weinstein Company and they hand you 2 scripts, where does that go? What is it? Do you then pitch the city? Do you say this is why we can help this script?
Well, I have to read it first to make sure that I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But certainly I pitch the money first, and then I pitch the infrastructure and the locations that go along with that script. And then I'll set up a website specific to that project. I'll do a location breakdown. And then I set up electronic folders with the character's name appropriate to the script. And then I give them about 20 options for each one location. And I show them what their script could look like here visually. And that gives their designer or their director a jumping off point to give me notes. I was thinking that Carol's house was more, this or that, not as...
We have a thing for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then that'll give me notes to continue scouting. And then I'll bring scouts on staff. I'll freelance some location scouts and get them helping me really flesh out these packages so that the answer is only yes.
So in that process, you're looking for the scripts that match well with the city, the profile and what we have to offer, and then in the talents, and then you're going for it. Is that kind of like you're curating through these things, or?
I think the whole thing is a process, and you're curating the whole process, and you're courting the whole process, and you're creating relationships and trust with them, so that ultimately, if they start liking the looks of the things you're showing them, and they start talking to people that resonate with them, and they think they're qualified and they're smart, it's introducing all of those things and making sure it's the right time to do it. Like, you don't force feed them. You've got to hire this person. She's amazing. Yeah. You know, you just sort of figure out the right time and the organic part of the process, and then they do sort of build a trust with you. And they also, when they spend time with you in your city, like when I can get them here in Cincinnati and they start seeing the people and the places we know, or we walk them, you know, into a sound company, or we stop by a Grip and Electric house and just have industry conversation, it creates that trust, and they're like, this, they get it here, and this feels good and appropriate. So
that's cool.
So these projects just show up, is what you're saying?
No.
It's just random.
No. So it's a lot of work, as my husband will tell you.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Okay,
Day
so when you're not working, when you actually take a second to kick back, sip on some bourbon,
here we go.
Are you? What are you watching? What are you into, man?
So, full disclosure, I am the worst. I mean, you shouldn't look at anything I'm watching to judge me, because
no, this is great.
Otherwise, so
by the way, just so you know, my all-time favorite film is Point Break. So the bar is
which is
high.
not a good one.
The bar is high.
I mean, it's not a bad one.
Good. It's great.
It's what I mean. It's not
Wasn't
a bad
the
one.
remake just
Foundational.
out, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they just do the remake?
Yeah, but the remake. I mean,
it was in theaters for about like 2 days.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Look, let's not talk about the remake. We're talking about a foundational piece of American cinema.
Right.
Exactly.
Anyway, what are you watching?
You know,
what are you into, man?
my foundation was my cousin's a screenwriter, and he wrote that movie Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, no
way!
So I grew up thinking like
Awesome.
that was incredible.
Because it is.
Because it was rewritten after he sold it. But anyway,
it's still rad.
I don't, if you look at what I TiVo or tape, it's awful. I'm not even allowed to watch the television around anyone else in my household, because I watch terrible reality TV.
Oh, yeah.
I watch things to fall asleep to get my mind to stop thinking. If I turn on a movie, I will watch it from beginning to end.
Pick it apart.
Right?
Yeah.
And I will...
Right.
And
Why wasn't this shot in Cincinnati?
So wait, are we talking like Honey Boo Boo? What are we talking about here?
Speaking of Honey Boo Boo, I ran into her at the Cincinnati Zoo over Christmas.
No way.
Why was she here?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Really? I don't know.
I have 2 small children.
I do know this fun fact. Her mom was at a strip club in Nashville for I saw it on Vice. It was something, and the guy from Vice wrote the article, and he went, and it was like New Year's Eve at Deja Vu Nashville with Honey Boo Boo's mom.
And she was a performer?
There was some...
Or she was like giving a motivational speech.
Google Vice, and it was this awesome article. It was like the greatest thing ever.
Wow.
Side
No,
note.
So reality TV.
No, not that. But I will sit there and watch renovation shows, or
Alright,
I will watch
Yeah.
cooking shows, or
Nice.
I will watch dating, like The Bachelor.
Wow.
I watch that crap. Like,
Man.
Hell yeah,
I
you
know
gotta
it's
get in there.
horrible TV.
All right. Because you spend so much time with these awesome scripts that are about to film here.
Right. So usually I'm reading a script. I'm not watching.
So you've always got something in front of you.
I've always got something to read. And 9 times out of 10, the writing's not that, it's not great.
Yes.
That's the biggest problem in Hollywood right now. It's hard to find good writing.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for your friend, because they need writing.
He's got so
He's
many
phenomenal.
on the bookshelf too.
Yeah.
Like he's so many scripts that could make it. Hopefully, we wish him the best.
Yeah.
But while you're watching these things, are you drinking anything?
I'm
You a bourbon girl?
I'm a wine
Wine girl?
drinker.
Wine drinker.
Yeah.
Red or white?
Both. Either or and.
Yeah, there you go. Mix them, blend them.
Yeah, I don't know. I like grapes. I'll drink a beer here and there, but not a lot. And
Wine.
occasionally a martini, vodka.
Ooh, all right. I like your style.
But my whole family, including my mother and her side of the family, my husband, his side, they're all bourbon drinkers. And I tell you, the last time Amelia was in town, my husband and I took him on the Bourbon Trail.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal, and I had a totally new respect for the whole process. And
Bourbon Trail is amazing.
we did 3. We did Buffalo Trace, which was incredible, just to kind of see the old school shop, and then which is where I fell in love with Eagle's Rare.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Because who knew?
Great bourbon.
And then, to taste that next to a Pappy, I'm still like the Eagle's Rare.
I think Pappy's part of a hype machine.
It is. It is.
Never had
That's
it.
fine.
Never had it.
Yeah, me neither, but it's a hype machine.
I
know people who
I've
know
never, we host the show, but I've never been to the Bourbon Trail either.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, I will set that up for you.
I did the Bourbon Trail on motorcycle.
On motorcycle?
Yeah.
You don't drink that much, if that's what you're worried about.
Me?
No, I mean on the bourbon trail.
Yeah.
You're just.
I mean, you could drink a lot if you wanted to.
The one that I was excited to see was the Four Roses.
Yeah, they got this quaint little.
It looks like a Spanish style.
Yeah, it's like a little cottage. It's cute.
I did Woodford also.
Woodford's cool. They had the best bourbon balls.
And it was so sleek
phenomenal.
and clean and pristine.
Yeah.
And then we finished at the people that make Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale.
Yeah, that's they've been on the show. They we are the worst hosts ever.
Something Tech.
Lexington Distillery, Alltech.
Alltech, thank you.
Brewery, yeah.
Alltech.
Yeah, so we had a blast with those guys.
We actually have their Kentucky Sundance still up in the cabin.
Yeah, they've been on the show. They're fans of the show. We've had them on. They were great.
Yep.
So Emilio, so he was a huge fan of that Kentucky Bourbon ale for a while, and he just sent me a picture literally 2 days ago, and he was at a pub in Malibu, and they finally got it on tap. And he's like, I don't need Cincinnati, we got it right here.
You're like, no.
No, he's definitely moving.
It's fresher out here. Yeah,
nice.
That's
well, we can definitely.
It's colder here.
If you ever need bourbon, we got some connections.
We do.
We've got people. Yeah. So.
That's awesome.
Well, this has been so much fun, man.
I was going to bring you guys the George
so
T. Stagg limited edition. Have you tried that?
It's like fancy stuff.
It's
not.
Totally.
You
fancy.
realize we're drinking out of plastic right now.
I know, but I want to.
Fancy.
I want to class this show up a little bit.
Well, that means
you have to come back.
That means you got to come back.
Yeah.
Next time I'll bring. I'll have one of my clients who's here. I'll bring someone fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll let them do most of the talking.
Cool. Because now you're in this building, right? You're in.
I am.
You're upstairs.
I am.
So we're
Studio
coming to you
B.
from Studio B at Sound Images.
Yep.
Downtown, the old Gwinnett building.
Gwynn.
Right? Gwynn.
6th and Main.
It was like a P&G building in like the
no doubt.
1600s.
This is where it was founded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're upstairs.
I'm upstairs.
This is amazing. How come we've never been up there?
I'm wondering the same
You
thing.
have an open door policy.
I'm kind of also wondering why you've never invited me down before now.
Oh my!
Because we're brand
gosh,
new.
Come on.
I'm gonna lay a complaint with Jack Stream.
Unbelievable.
Don't you hold that against us?
Well, we didn't want to bring you on too early.
Yeah,
we wanted to be
brand
established
a little bit.
Right,
Yeah.
but you also wanted me to have some movies to talk about. I had to build my brand as well.
We were intimidated.
I get it.
Yeah. What episode is this? Like
we're like 32 or something crazy like that.
We're up there.
Yeah,
It's
been
season
fun.
2.
So when Emil moves here, you guys have to have him on.
Yeah,
no
we're
doubt.
Although he doesn't drink bourbon anymore.
That's fine.
We'll
he
get him
quit,
some.
and he's now tequila.
We'll have
That's
some
fine.
bourbon barrel ale waiting for him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we love, and the thing, what we want to do, and what we always tell our listeners is, look, if you want to learn like tips and tricks on how to make a gun blast,
There's
if you want to,
plenty
there's
of
plenty of
shows for
shows and podcasts and tutorials.
Go look at Film Riot.
Yeah,
those guys are great.
If
They
you
know
want to
what
learn
they're
how to
doing.
green screen, there's plenty of places.
Yeah.
If you want to learn the ins and outs of this or that, if you want to hear, a breakdown of a movie set or whatever, there's places for that. What we want to do is we want to be the place where real filmmakers can, at the end of the day, when they come home from set, pour a glass of bourbon and join in the conversation.
Just hang out.
Just have a chat. Talk about
The
cool
way it all
different stuff.
started was just me and him talking on the phone, and we'd always have a glass of bourbon just sitting by and just chat. That's what we're about.
So there it
But
is.
although we did delve into some history this past month.
Yeah, we got into it. So this thing's sort of evolving, and it's really fun to have people like you on the show who are experts, but at the same time we like the ongoing conversation. So we can't wait for you to come back, and then you won't have to talk about the film commission. We can just get into
We already know
the
who you
deeper
are.
issues.
Yeah, you're going to ask to see some of my wedding videos that I've made and produced.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. That's
We're
cool.
digging in.
Throw that up on the
We're
site.
digging in.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So
I think I did a very good job at those, by the way.
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was just asked recently by my niece who's getting married if I would do her rehearsal
No
dinner
way.
video.
No way.
And I kind of wanted to say I'm retired from that.
But you kind of want in, don't you?
No, I just can't say no.
Yeah.
You're
You're too busy.
I'm flattered, actually.
Too
Flattered.
busy.
She thinks I still got it in me.
You still got it.
fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So as we're wrapping up, what's one thing? So you have this tremendous experience. You're learning. You're growing. You've got this vision. You've got a bunch of listeners out there. Okay, so we've got as of now over 13,000 listens, 40 countries, 1,300 cities. There's people listening.
Just ask you.
What's the one thing you want to give them right now? This is your thing.
Gosh.
Talk to the people.
I feel like I've given so much already.
I know, but just
have.
talk to the people. Just give them your last little nugget.
Let me take a drink.
And by drink, she means Four Roses single barrel.
I don't know. I'd have to say nothing happens overnight. you know what, and you can't live life thinking about how it's going to happen tomorrow. You just got to keep doing it. And I think some of the best films and some of the best talent and some of the best things in my life have just taken so much time, and they've been so worth the wait.
That was great. That's something I could cheers to right there.
There you go.
Cheers.
Let's cheers to that.
Cheers.
Well, Kristen, thank you
We
for
can't wait to
coming
have
on the
you
show.
back on the show.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, you
You've already
guys.
given us so much, but yeah.
Unbelievable.
Cheers.
Great show.
Yeah.
Cheers.
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 This podcast was recorded live at Sound Images Studio. Find out more at soundimages.com.